You're a man. You are a man. Stand up and be a man. Make the hard decisions. Make the sacrifices. Make the unpopular decisions. And become comfortable in your own skin. And if you are not a person that you are comfortable being alone with, that is the one person in this universe that you have full power, full right, and full responsibility to change.
That you're not just about being aggressive. It's not just about picking fights and going out in the world and kind of hurting people or pushing them around. That's actually a sign of weakness. True inner strength is something that's quiet and that's calm, right? And so you don't feel the need to push people, to hurt people, to assert yourself, to show off, to show how people who show off how wealthy they are, how many fancy cars they have, are actually weak. They're actually insecure. They're actually incredibly immature. And I talk about in the laws of human nature that when you look at somebody who has very extreme qualities like bravado, like brashness, like bragging about how great they are, by bragging about how many women they've seduced, by bragging about their fancy cars, they're actually really weak little tiny people inside. They're trying to cover up all their weaknesses, all their insecurities with bravado. But you, as a young man, you don't need any of that. When you see it, you're disgusted by it because it reveals weakness. Somebody who is truly strong inside doesn't have to show off, doesn't have to talk.
And that's the one thing I'll say right now to people listening to this. A real person, a real alpha, a real go-getter, they ain't saying shit about nobody.
Correct.
That's why you will never, ever hear me dropping somebody's name, running my mouth about somebody. I don't know what you went through. I don't know what you're going through. I didn't wear the shoes you wore when you were a kid. I didn't grow up in your fucked up house. I didn't have your fucked up family. I don't know shit about you. So guess what I do? Shut the fuck up. Because real men don't say shit. Because first of all, we're too busy trying to grind and be better.
Correct.
Second of all, unless we know what we know, we shut our fucking mouths. But nowadays, there's not many real men who live by that creed of like, you know, if you're on social media running your fucking mouth and shit, you're just a bitch.
Correct.
You're honestly, and that's not me trying to be some after school special shit. You really are a bitch. Real men ain't doing it. Real men don't care about that gossipy bullshit. Get to work, man. Well, I'm gonna make sure you're good and you're good. My mom would tell you right now, she's right there sitting.
She is.
She knows I don't buy myself shit. I take great pride in that. I don't want shit. Because how I'm wired to, hey mom, I'm gonna get you this, and this. My girl, everybody's got everything. I don't even own a fucking car. And I'm a multi-millionaire. And I say that with pride.
Yeah.
I think for me, it's just, again, you know, people talk about, you know, like masculinity and you know, this term that gets thrown around all the time, like this toxic masculinity and whatever the fuck that means. And, you know, I just think that, again, it's like, what are the examples that we're putting forward? And what are the examples of people, you know, as fathers, what kind of men are you surrounding yourself by? What are the things that are important to you? And I think it's not, to me at least, it's not, you know, some sort of rejection of these classically masculine traits. I think that, you know, having the ability and understanding you have the responsibility to keep your family safe is absolutely essential in being a man and in providing. I think having a healthy relationship with violence, having an understanding of it. I think you know, teaching your kids to have a relationship with violence where you know, they're not being ruled by fear or shame, but they can have some sort of understanding, some sort of you know, they can touch it, they understand it a little bit, they know what they're doing. I think it's essential.
I believe that men have the divine imperative to become as capable, powerful, and competent as possible in this life. I reserve my human right to hold my own beliefs and practice them as I see fit and allow other people the same right to believe and act as they wish. I prefer loving, rewarding, consensual relationships with beautiful, positive, and virtuous women. I believe men and women are different and that each has their own unique and important strengths and abilities. I believe men have the sacred duty to protect and provide for the important people in their lives. I believe men have the sacred duty to protect the innocence and sanctity of their children and reserve the right and responsibility to raise their children as they see best to ensure their long-term happiness and success. I believe that men have the sacred duty to raise strong, capable, and honorable sons. I believe that men have the sacred duty to raise kind, feminine, and virtuous daughters. I utterly disapprove of violence within romantic or familiar relationships. I support good and honest governments and will obey their laws. I prefer to only conduct business dealings with trusted and vetted brothers. I believe that a man has the sacred duty to hold true to his word and do exactly what he says he will do. I believe that a man's life is difficult and that he has the sacred duty to become strong to handle such difficulty. I believe men are personally responsible for their actions and for the results they achieve in their lives. I believe in emotional control and the vital need to become disciplined and professional in all things. I believe that men have the sacred duty to approach everything in life from a position of strength. I believe that all men have the sacred duty to become men of upright and virtuous character and live above all possible reproach. I believe it is incumbent upon me to ruthlessly identify my own weaknesses and limitations, and I eagerly work to overcome them and become more capable in all realms. I seek to improve my personal freedom to think, act, and live true to my masculine imperative in all ways. I believe each man has a sacred duty to mold the physical body into the strongest, most resilient, and most capable version of itself. I believe that men have the sacred duty to rigorously train themselves, both physically and mentally, every day. I believe that I have the sacred duty to only eat the highest quality foods possible. I reserve the right to protect the sanctity of my bloodstream and make my own decisions about medical care and procedures. I affirm the importance of endlessly improving my mental faculties through diligent work, study, and practice. I believe in acquiring wealth and abundance in order to improve my life and do good for those I care about. I believe in the merits of healthy competition and constantly encourage all men to seek out competition to improve themselves. I believe that masculine brotherhood is essential to men's mental health, happiness, and success, and I relentlessly encourage men to meet together, train together, and work together. I maintain the trust of my brothers through reverent silence regarding our most sacred and shared experiences. I believe in honoring my ancestors and living in a way that would make most of them proud of me today. I reserve the right to administer difficult rites of passage for our young men to allow them to earn the rank of manhood. I affirm the importance and need for travel and adventure as men. I seek to help men overcome poor mental health through embracing hard work, physical improvements, and shared masculine brotherhood. I reserve the right to make the best choices I can at the time to protect myself and respect my mental health. I do good in the world and seek to help those less fortunate. I believe all men have the responsibility to lead and guide those they care about for greater health, prosperity, and happiness. I choose to only interact with those who are respectful and civil to me in return for my own respectfulness and civility. I reserve the freedom to speak and refer to others as I believe is best and most truthful. I reserve the right to choose my company and include only those whom I believe are best for my health, happiness, and success. I believe I have an imperative to only spend my time in a way that I determine is beneficial, uplifting, and empowering to myself and others. I choose to only allow myself to be influenced by those who I believe have my best interests in mind. And the final one, each day I dedicate myself anew to create the greatest possible positive impact on the world and do the work necessary to achieve a greater masculine excellence across all realms of human endeavor. Those are the 41 things.
Powerful.
Thank you.
When did you write that?
I wrote this last night, about half of them, and the other half on the way here.
Wow.
You said last night you came up with this?
Yeah, I decided to explain exactly my beliefs. So these are the 41 tenets I believe in, and I think they can apply to any man on the planet. And if a man lives true to these, it's going to be beneficial for both him and everybody who loves him and the world as a whole. I don't think it's possible to find a negative connotation to any of those 41 tenets. That's what I personally believe.
So he was a great boyfriend, but we went out of country. We fought on the same card. He fought the day before me. I fought the next day. During the fight, he almost gets knocked out. As this guy is mauling him, he goes like this. What do you think I was thinking?
Not good thoughts.
The boyfriend. My boyfriend. Like this.
Yeah, you didn't like it.
Fuck no.
Did it turn you off?
Oh my God, so much.
Whoa.
I was like, dude, you're getting fucked up, and as you're falling to the canvas, you still need to go fuck you.
Wow.
You're like, fuck you, like that.
So the way he was getting
be.
beaten was fucking with you.
Yeah.
It wasn't just that he was getting beaten.
I don't care. I don't care.
Away.
Yeah, I don't care if
that he wasn't digging
you're not
in.
gonna. Yeah, like you gotta fucking. Like, take that shit.
Take it.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
like a champ or like a fighter.
Right.
Yeah, you can't be like,
Wow.
So you say, I mean, that sounds pretty bad. You're saying
It's
there's a
bad.
crisis of masculinity. I mean, what do you do about it?
You help people understand why it's necessary and important for them to grow up and adopt responsibility, why that isn't a shake your finger and get your act together sort of thing. And then the question is, well, what are you leaving out if you're leaving out responsibility? And the answer might be, well, maybe you're leaving out the meaning of life. That's what it looks like to me. It's like, here you are, suffering away. What makes it worthwhile? Right? It's almost impossible to describe how bad an idea that is. Responsibility. That's what gives life meaning. It's more like a delineation of the kind of destiny that makes life worth living. I've been telling young men, but it's not, I wasn't specifically aiming this message at young men to begin with. It just kind of turned out that way.
And it's mostly, you admit, it's mostly men listening. I mean,
It
90%.
is. What I've been telling young men is that there's an actual reason why they need to grow up, which is that they have something to offer, you know, that people have within them this capacity to set the world straight, and that's necessary to manifest in the world. And that also doing so is where you find the meaning that sustains you in life.
So what's gone wrong then?
Oh God, all sorts of things have gone wrong. I don't think that young men hear words of encouragement. Some of them never in their entire lives, as far as I can tell. That's what they tell me. And young men are starving for this sort of message because, like, why in the world would they have to derive it from a lecture on YouTube? No, they're not being taught that it's important to develop yourself.
Isn't it for the women though?
Well, what sort of partner do you want? You want an overgrown child? Or do you want someone to contend with that's going to help you? Women know what they have to do. Men have to figure out what they have to do. And if they have nothing worth living for, then they stay Peter Pan. And why the hell not? Because the alternative to valued responsibility is impulsive, low-class pleasure. That's what I think's going on at a deeper level with regards to men needing this direction. A man has to decide that he's going to do something. He has to decide that.
So you're saying women have some sort of duty to sort of help fix the crisis of masculinity?
It depends on what they want. No, I mean, it's exactly how I laid it out. Like, women deeply want men who are competent and powerful. And I don't mean power in that they can exert tyrannical control over others. That's not power. That's just corruption. Power is competence. And why in the world would you not want a competent partner?
If you're 26, be 26. Stop trying to be 56. It's not expected, and it's a burden that you don't have to carry. You're a young couple, and you're going through some things, and you're like, man, we must be the worst couple in the world. We must be the worst married folks out there. This has got to be, man, we just ain't got it. Of course you ain't got it figured out. When you hit 30, you still ain't 30 years of marriage, you still ain't going to have it all figured out. My wife and I are still trying to figure stuff out. And we just take it as it comes, and we learn, and we mature, and we grow, and it takes time. But you'll not get there if you quit. Fellas, you'll not get there if you quit, if you just say, forget it. You know, I can't be the man that I wanted to be. Well, of course you're not right now. You will not be the man that you want to be until you grow into it. You have to grow into it. So the whole point of this video is just to encourage you, chill out, man. Just chill. You guys that are contacting me and saying, man, I got a degree and I just lost this job. Listen, and I'm not making light of it, okay? Let me just put it in perspective, all right? I've got 5 grandbabies. Now, one of those grandbabies is, let's say that grandbaby is 14 months old and they're learning to walk, okay? And so they're just in a diaper. You've seen it, you know, they're just in a diaper and they're going across the kitchen floor to mama and they're kind of weaving a little bit. and their little fat feet and their little fat thighs are just kind of thunk, thunk, thunk. And all of a sudden they're like, oh, and they got the bubble butt out here, the bubble tummy out here, and they got the big old diaper in the back, so they're not balanced, all right? And so they lose their balance, and they're like, oh, bam, and they fall down and land flat on their butt. And they look shocked, and they look surprised, and then their face screws up, and they start crying bloody murder. That's the worst thing that has ever happened to them in their life.
And I also think, being accepting, being kind, being open, being generous, being empathetic are also, part of being a man. And I think that, oftentimes, because so many of the people I think who are kind of leading the charge and who have, so much, sort of have so much of the platform at their disposal are kind of leading in these sort of toxic ways where it's all a bunch of bombast and bullshit. And to me, it's been my experience, folks who really know what they're doing in that world really don't need to, show off about it at all.
May not even want to hear this. It sounds so barbaric. That's the pride in which you have as a man. Is that you see your mom, you see your girl, you see your kids, you see all this shit, you see them doing well. That's all a real man wants. They don't give a fuck about how they dress, how they look, what they're driving. They don't give a shit. Because why? Your trophies are your family, and they're all walking around. Every man that sees you, they see you walking in with some sweatpants and shit, but they know your family's fucking balling. Because you put the fucking time in, you put the effort in, you put the work in. And as a man, we don't want none of that shit. We just want fucking respect. And that's what men don't give a fuck about now. But the one thing I want is for my family to look at me and say, that's the man. Right there. And men don't fucking have that. They don't know what that feels like. So until you know what that feels like, you're never going to seek that feeling of when things are bad, my family looks to me.
As they should.
As they should.
That's your job.
That is my fucking job. And I earned that. It's not given because you wake up and you're a man.
And it feels real good.
It feels amazing. When anything goes wrong in my family, if there's a flat tire, they don't call fucking AAA. They call David fucking Goggins. Mom's got a problem? David. My mom's sick? David. She don't call the fucking doctors. David. Anybody, they call David, and that's earned. That's a good feeling. And I would challenge men to try that. Try that. Try that for a couple of days. Try working those 20-hour shifts and coming home and having your girl have a meal at home. I guarantee your girl looks at you very different. Every day you come home and you're dirty as fuck, or you're just tired, and she knows you're only getting 4 hours of sleep, and then when you go to work, she's sleeping because it's 4 o'clock in the fucking morning, and you look at her, she knows what kind of man she's got. Your mom knows, your dad knows what kind of son they have.
Yeah.
They don't know that feeling. It's the best feeling in the fucking world. Money can't buy it, nothing can buy it.
People that are high achievers, they don't really have to beat their own chest and
I think that's right.
blow their own horn.
I think that's right.
Yeah, what we think of as toxic masculinity is really a bunch of losers. So a lot of it is like the worst example. But you could get the same, there's no term toxic femininity, right? But there's toxic human beings, and some of them happen to be male, and some of them happen to be female. But it's not an indictment on male, right. The male gender of the species. That's crazy.
Right.
And the idea that you don't need men, that somehow or another, like, the female is the future. It's like, what are you talking about? That's crazy. You need a balance. There's a yin and a yang in this life for a reason.
That's right.
All of it goes together.
That's right.
It's just everybody has to do better.
That's right.
Okay? I don't have the right, I don't have the desire to, and I do not have the right to try to change my wife's personality and who she is. I don't have the right to change anybody except myself. Now, there's people out there I don't like, and if I don't like them, I just walk away. I'm 55 years old. I've done without that person my whole dang life. I don't need them now. And I don't have the right or the desire to try to change them. But if I don't like me, If I don't like me, if I'm not comfortable being with me, well, that's a different story. All right? So it doesn't provide all the answers. Probably doesn't provide any answers. I don't know. But maybe there's a little bit of encouragement there. Maybe somebody, there's a little seed, a little step, a little something that you can say, hey, you know what? I think that'll help me. And listen, just be strong. Stay strong. And ladies, I'm not bashing women, but I am bashing this godless, hateful movement that is destroying this country and destroying the men in this country. Okay? It's not. And fellas, just don't. Let me add one more thing here, all right? I'm choosing my words. Give me a moment. It is human nature. It is human nature when a pendulum swings too far one way. When a pendulum swings too far one way, we react and swing that pendulum too far the other way. All right? For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. All right? Don't do that. Do not react to this with the opposite all the way over here. Don't be hateful and mean and derogatory to women. All right? I am referring obliquely to a former kickboxer who now resides in Europe somewhere, who has been all the rage. There's some things he says that he's right and he's spot on, but his pendulum has swung too far the other way. Okay? And some impressionable young men have taken it that way. We're not at war, fellas. Regardless of how this side wants to frame this picture, we are not at war with women. All right? We're not. You be that warrior in that garden. All right? And you stand strong. You be a strong man. You be a good man. And you just let the world rage around you. All right? I hope this helps. And my heart's with you guys. Anything I can do to help, I'll be happy to do. And so we'll catch y'all next time.
I think that a lot of people don't understand that it's all of the challenges and struggles that's going to make them, it's either going to make or break them. I don't read studies very often, but I was sent a study about stress from somebody. It's probably the best study I ever read, and it's talked about the placebo effect of stress. And it said that they took some of the most stressed people in the world, CEOs, etc., and the ones who believed that stress was really bad for them were dying earlier because of the cortisol inside of their blood. And they said stress was really bad for them, they were having heart attacks. But the ones who believed that stress was good for them and it made them perform, I perform under pressure, stress is good for me, they were living longer. So the same drug inside of their blood, how they framed it inside of their mind had different effects on their body. So from that point onwards, even though I already thought this way, I knew I was the right way. I knew it was the right way to think innately because I've done pretty good in life that way. But this confirmed it. Every time I feel stressed or under pressure, I get excited. I hate to not be stressed. I wake up and I'm like, everything's fucked. Good. Yes. Like that's just how I am, right? But it's how you adopt. It's how you look at the problems and how you use them to fuel you. So the question was, what's the problem for the average man today? What's the biggest problem? I think there's a whole host of problems. But what you have to do is frame it inside of your mind and understand that all of those problems are going to allow you, give you the fuel, the unlimited motivation that you need to become a successful and beautiful individual if you frame it in the right way. If you take a man and give him a life shielded from problems and he never has any to face, I guarantee you he's terrible at being a man. The best men in the world have gone through shit. That's why women love scars, because it didn't kill you. That's the whole point of it, right? So the best thing you can do as a man is look and go, okay, this is hard, this is hard, this is hard, this is hard. I feel negative because these are all so difficult. I'm struggling with X, Y, Z. Let me internalize all of that and turn it into a superpower. Let me become genuinely uncomfortable with my situation in life and go and fix things. Because, like I said, the universe is absolutely and utterly very giving. And if you truly hated being in the position you were in, you wouldn't be there very long. So I think that the number one problem with the world today and the biggest problem that men face isn't the problems themselves. It's just the way that they are been taught to mentally frame issues. People think when bad things happen to them that somehow they're a victim to the universe and bad things only happen to me and this is so terrible. They don't understand that bad things happen to everybody, and the most successful person you know had all those, probably maybe even worse, at least the same bad things happened to them. They just framed it differently and used it. That's the difference. So I don't pray for an easy life. I pray for a life of difficulty that allows me to become a better and better person. I pray to become more competent to handle problems. I pray to put myself in a position where if the mass media machine attempts its very best to destroy my life, I can laugh and smile from my villa in Dubai. This is who I pray to become. I don't pray that nobody hurts me. I pray to be able to fight. So it's just a different mentality.
So one thing is, if you're strong inside, you can take criticism. People who have this kind of fake masculinity, by the moment you try and challenge them or talk to them or say that their ideas are stupid, or maybe that they don't know what they're talking about, they get so insecure and they lash out, they fight back and they yell. We see all these kind of trolls on the internet doing that, right? But if you are truly strong, you can take criticism. You can take a mentor. You can take somebody coming into your life and saying, this is what you need to do. This is where you need to go. You're not doing it right. You need to follow this path instead of the one that you're on, right? The other thing is, a true man, to me, true masculinity has deep respect for women, doesn't feel the need to insult them, to push them around, to dominate them. He respects them truly, and he honors them, and he almost has a kind of chivalrous approach. I know all of this sounds very old-fashioned, but these were values that came up through culture over hundreds and hundreds of years, and they have deep meaning and they have deep import. So having a chivalrous attitude towards women, to me, reveals inner strength and confidence, the kind of thing that I think women respond to. I don't think women respond to men. They can smell that insecure man from a mile away, and it repulses them. They can also smell a man who has that kind of inner confidence, the kind of inner security, and it's deeply seductive and deeply attractive. So having a sense of an inner strength, of knowing who you are, of not feeling the need to brag, of knowing that these are the virtues that signify strength in our culture, they become sort of your daily guiding post. And when you catch yourself becoming all emotional and all panicky and all yelling and raging and angry, you step back and you go, I'm being weak. I'm falling below this kind of ideal that I think I should follow in my life. When it comes to your career and to navigating the very difficult environment that we're all dealing with, a lot of young men think that the sign of success or of proving themselves is by making a lot of money early on and being able to show that. But to me, that isn't what the game is all about. The game is how to last. So when I look at sports and I look at athletes that I really admire and I think these are fantastic, I think of Michael Jordan, I think of Tom Brady, I think of LeBron James, I think of, God bless his soul, Kobe Bryant, people who lasted. They lasted for many years, right? They weren't just one-hit wonders. And so true success and true power in life can go on for 10, 20, 30 years. You have a plan. You have a long-term career that you're aiming for. And your goal is not to make a bunch of money and show off. It's to become a master in what you're doing, to understand your field, to be extremely creative and powerful in that. And then things will come to you. So to be truly powerful, you don't have to go out there and grab things. You don't have to go prove yourself. All of it will come to you. People will come to you. Women will come to you. Job offers will come to you. Money will come to you if you have this kind of inner strength, this kind of inner power that I think is the ideal for young men today in the world. It's very confusing right now because everything is so fluid, and we're all supposed to think that there's no such thing as masculinity anymore, that it's toxic. But real masculinity, that real kind of strength that I'm talking about, is not toxic at all. It is not out there to hurt people. It's not out there to dominate, to be aggressive, to push people around. It's all about an inner strength an inner confidence that you radiate outward. And that's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And I advocate making that your ideal and making that the kind of the radar that guides you through these very difficult times.
I think a lot of people build their mindsets around trying to feel good. So that's why we were talking earlier about people who want to ignore the idea of personal responsibility or self-accountability because they feel better if they pretend it's not a real thing. They feel better if they pretend everything's someone else's fault. A lot of people's mental model and how they view the world is based around them feeling as good as possible. So when you sit there and talk to somebody who has the mask on and they refuse to believe the elites are laughing at them, it's not because they can't comprehend the ideas, it's because they feel better if they don't believe that they are a clown to the elites. I feel better if this is really all innocent and it's really all about a disease. So people are they're basing their mindsets around trying to feel good. I have always tried to base my mindset around absolute competence regardless of how I feel. And there are certainly disadvantages to that. There are times you're going to be a lot more pessimistic, or you're going to be a lot more stressed, or a lot more, pissed off about certain things than others. Yeah, that can be seen as a downside, but like I said, I use all of those things for unlimited motivation to propel my endless upward trajectory. But if you construct a mindset that allows you to be as competent as possible, as opposed to feel any different or feel better, then you're going to naturally come to the conclusions I've come to. You're as competent as possible if you believe you can affect absolutely everything about your life. You're as competent as possible if you believe absolutely everything that's happened to you, whether good or bad, is completely your fault. You're as competent as possible if you believe the bad things that happen to you are going to allow you to work harder and become even better. When bad things happen to me, the first thing out of my mouth is good. Good. Andrew, they took $10 million out of the bank because they canceled you. Good. Good. That's just my response. Good. Andrew, this happened. Good. Good. Now I'm really pissed. Good. This mindset I've constructed allows me to be as fearsome a competitor as possible. It allows me to be a feared opponent in any realm of human endeavor, and that's the point of a mindset. Why would you have a mental model or a mentality that made you anything less? In the ultra competitive world that we've just discussing that everybody wants the things you have, why would you absorb information or construct a mental model that doesn't allow you to be as competitive as possible? I am a feared competitor in anything I do. Anyone who's up against me at anything is going to feel a degree of nervousness just because it's me. It doesn't matter what it is. If you say, look, you're going to go learn how to play piano and you're going to play against someone else who's never played piano and you're going to learn, and that guy's Andrew Tate, you're going to be like, oh, for fuck's sake. I can't even play piano. But part of them is going to be like, oh, not Tate. Even though I have no piano experience, because they just know me. They know my mindset. They know my determination. They know I'm stubborn. They know I don't quit. They know I'm going to win. That's just who I am. So I've constructed a mental model that allows me to be competent and to always succeed. And that's how I've come to the conclusions I've come to. And I truly, once again, don't understand how people go through the world with any other mental model. I get asked all the time, but what do you feel? Or what about happiness or depression? That doesn't even... How I feel doesn't cross my mind. I don't know how else to explain it. There are days where I'm pissed off or sad or happy. It doesn't cross my mind. It's just like I woke up, whatever mood I happen to be in, I have things I need to do. It's a busy day. Zuby's here soon. I need to go training before he gets here. I had a meeting with the bank at 7:15 a.m. I have shit to do. I didn't cross my mind if I was happy, sad, excited. I just had to work. So I think my mental model, to a degree, I'm certainly not a person who doesn't feel emotions, because we're all human. I certainly do. But I've never prioritized them in any regard. I haven't built a mental model that I haven't put them in the middle of my mental model and then affected my actions based on how I feel for each one. It's absolutely and completely the opposite. I would love to do a podcast on a day where I'm particularly sad and a podcast on a day where I'm particularly happy, and I guarantee you wouldn't be able to tell the fucking difference. So that's what allows me to be competitive, right? Because if you're competitive, if you want to be the most competitive predator on the planet, you have to be able to hunt in the day and the night. You have to be able to do both. You have to be able to perform when you're happy and sad. You can't only be able to perform when you're happy. You can't only go to the gym when you're motivated. You can't only be a competent person when your life's going well, because when your life's not going well, you're no longer competent. Then you're going to lose to people like me. And it's player versus player. If you're the kind of person who can only do well when you're happy and you're competing against someone like me who can do well all the fucking time, guess what? You lose. So my mental model, the answer is most of my opinions are just based around constructing a mental model that allows me to be brutally competitive. It's why I say depression isn't real. I've argued this point endlessly. And I try and explain to people, but they're not smart enough to understand that I don't care if I'm wrong. I don't care. I am more competitive as an individual if I don't believe I can become depressed. So I don't give a fuck if I'm right or wrong, because no matter what bad happens to me in my life, even if, heaven forbid, the worst things on earth that could happen to me, I could never become clinically depressed, because I would never self-diagnose myself as clinically depressed, because I don't believe in it. I believe that I am currently sad, but I have work to do, and eventually I will feel better. I will never get to a point of absolute desperation and kill myself, because I'm never going to get to a point of hopelessness, because I don't believe in the idea of hopelessness. You cannot try and make me adopt thinking that will reduce my competitiveness as an individual. So I don't give a fuck if I'm wrong. I don't believe in it. That's it. End of story. So I don't believe in things that take power away from me. I don't believe in things that make me less competitive, and I don't adopt mental models that make me less competitive. Every single mental model I have are the most efficient ones I could find. They're the mental model I found that if I adopt, I become a more fearsome predator. That's it. So this is how I've come to all of my conclusions as an individual.